During iRacing's downtime for its most recent update, I decided to launch 2 open wheel race cars around my favourite circuit, Oulton Park, and I started out with the Formula Renault. It's a car I've never actually driven before on the service, but I can tell you it is a massive amount of fun. It may only have a small 2 litre 210 brake horsepower engine, but it certainly does corner well. It's quite misleading in terms of the slower corners, it really does grip a lot, but the downforce isn't as strong as you think, so you have to be careful in the quick corners as well. This is how I got on my fastest lap of the 30 minutes that I spent in this car around this track. So coming out of Deer Leap, then hug it to the left a slight little bit, then changing up into 6th gear just before you get to turn 1, which is Old Hull Corner. Changing down to 4th, trying not to quite clip the apex early because there's a big bump on the inside. Use a little bit of runoff on the left and just try and keep it as smooth as you can as you go down the avenue to the kink and then into Cascades. Changing down to 4th, getting your foot on the throttle as soon as you can and just letting it wash out wide. You need to try and use as much of the track as you can there. And then it's this great run down all the way to the Shell Oils hairpin. You do have to lift slightly at this point in some cars, but in the Formula Renault you can just keep your foot planted, turn in nice and early, then you change down to 2nd gear for the Shell Oils hairpin. Locking up the inside right tyre on the way in, and you've got to be really careful on the throttle on the exit because it does go from having a lot of camber to none. You need to straight line the Britain chicane as best you can, changing down for the final time once you've already turned left, which seemed quite important for slowing the car down properly, and then over hill top down towards the Knickerbrook chicane. Braking just after the 100 metre board. Changing down to 3rd, then changing down to 2nd before you turn left. And then Knickerbrook is such a difficult corner, it's slightly off camber and you can't see the apex, and there's not much runoff area and it's easy to overdo it. A little bit of correction out of there. Up Clay Hill then, keeping your foot flat. Now Druids is a bit of a strange corner because you don't always want to hit the apex, it's actually quite quick like this to stay out wide and then you get a better run through the end of it. I must admit that wasn't the best that I'd done around that corner throughout the whole session, but on this lap I was that much quicker at the beginning that it made a big difference. Lodge corner now, really difficult corner because you're going over a crest on the exit, so as you can hear I was very hesitant on the throttle. Once you've got the car straightened up you've got to floor it and just go for the line. After about half an hour in the Formula Renault I decided to move on to a more impressive bit of kit, the 2009 Williams FW31 Formula 1 car. This thing with a 3 litre V8 engine that had about 740 brake horsepower at the time and a hell of a lot more downforce. The cornering speeds in this thing are absolutely unreal and it actually takes a while to get used to. And just as Richard Hammond said when he drove the championship winning Renault back on the old episode of Top Gear, your mind just can't think quickly enough to actually get the thing around the track, so I did struggle for a long time to actually get a lap in. And eventually I managed to get a lap that was sub 1 minute 13, so it was an absolute world apart from the Renault, and this is how it went. Out of Lodge corner then, a very different Williams. We're already coming across the line. We're going to put a video of the Renault in the top left just so you can see exactly how it got on. Already at turn 1 through the Williams, and just, well, foot flat down the avenue and already into Cascades. Changing down from 6th to 4th. Got your foot pretty much flat to the floor halfway around the corner, let it wash out wide again, and then you're down the straight to the Shell Oils hairpin. You can see some of the dust where I'd actually gone off previously. A little bit of a lift to turn it left because I ran wide on this lap. Changing down to 2nd in the Shell Oils hairpin. Really scary on the exit as well, just like it was in the Renault. You've just got to be cautious on the throttle. And then once again, straight line in this British chicane, then down to 3rd, then 2nd. On the throttle, a little bit hesitant, you'll hear me go full throttle there. Just try not to spin the rears up. I went off so many times there, it's really easy to do it. Knickerbrook was actually quite easy in this car, it just sort of goes round on its own. It's you just got to guide it with the throttle a little bit wide of the apex on the exit, but finally got it done. Then flying up Clay Hill, you can see the Renault's not even into the Knickerbrook chicane yet, we're that far ahead, but look at this Williams through Druids. Like I said before, you don't have to hit the apexes there, but this thing just goes around it unbelievably quick. Into Lodge now, this was the scariest corner to get done in this car because you've got to be very hesitant. Ready? There's the throttle on the exit, then through Deer Leap, keep it to the left, and that was a 1 minute 12.7 in the Williams F1 car, an absolutely unbelievably quick time. As you can see now, the Renault still not quite there, just coming into Lodge. Hesitant on the throttle again, a little bit of grass on that lap as well, and that was the Formula Renault's time then, as a 1:31.8. Just an external view just to show you just how quick this Williams is. You really get an idea of the commitment of how much you can launch this car into a corner. Look at it through Old Hall. Just grips so much, it seems so planted. There's just no wobble from the rear end. It's either planted or it's spinning, to be fair, when you're driving it. There is no sort of grey area or middle ground. You can see how quickly it turns into the Shell Oils hairpin here. Slight lift because I was a bit wider on that lap, like I said. You can hear the hesitation on the throttle. It just opens up. You can hear that again coming out of the Britain chicane as well, but just look at the speed it carries through there. It's just absolutely unbelievable. You do struggle to actually keep up with it in your head though. You obviously want to plan the inputs as best you can before you get into the corner, and it's just not easy to do. Really not easy to do. Always feels like it's running wide at Knickerbrook. It's hard to actually hit that apex and get it right, because sometimes if you hit the curve a bit too hard you can overdo it and spin the car. But just watch it through, Drews. This is unbelievable. It's just got no sign of just going off at all. It's so planted. And through Lodge, again you can hear the hesitation on the throttle. Through Deer Leap, and across the line. In the blink of an eye.